Blackness, not the quiet darkness of night, but something deeper, heavier, a void so complete it feels as though light itself has been erased from existence. A single sound breaks the silence, a slow, rhythmic heartbeat, then a distant ping. A sonar pulse ripples through the emptiness, expanding outward into nothingness, searching, probing, listening for life in a world where life should not exist. Another ping, and then, faintly, movement. A narrow beam of light slices through the dark, fragile, artificial, almost out of place. It trembles as it pushes forward, illuminating a storm of drifting particles, tiny fragments suspended in the water, falling endlessly like snow in a world without sky. This is not space, but it might as well be. Far above, the surface of the ocean glows with warmth and color. Sunlight dances across waves, feeding a vibrant world teeming with life, coral reefs, vast schools of fish, predators in constant pursuit. It is a realm we understand, a world we have mapped, explored, conquered. But beneath it lies something else entirely, a descent into silence, into pressure so immense it could crush steel like paper, into temperatures that hover just above freezing, into a darkness so absolute that for millions of years, nothing has ever seen the sun, and yet something is here. The light shifts, scanning slowly across the void. For a moment, there is nothing. Then, a flicker. Gone. The beam jerks back, searching, catching only a fading trace of movement. Something was there, watching, waiting just beyond the edge of visibility. Another pulse of sonar echoes outward. This time it returns distorted, alive. The deep ocean is the largest habitat on Earth and the least understood. More than 80% of it remains unexplored, uncharted, unseen, untouched. We know more about the surface of distant planets than the depths of our own world. And in this vast, hidden realm, evolution has taken a different path. Here, bodies bend the rules of biology, eyes grow enormous or vanish entirely, teeth extend like needles, skin glows with its own eerie light. Creatures drift through the abyss like living phantoms, some delicate, almost beautiful, others so alien they seem torn from nightmares. The beam of light steadies, pushing deeper. For a moment the darkness parts. A shape emerges, massive, silent, impossible to fully comprehend. Its outline shifts just beyond clarity, elongated, unfamiliar. A slow, deliberate movement ripples through its form. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it disappears, swallowed whole by the void. The light lingers, searching. But the abyss gives nothing back, only silence, only darkness, only the overwhelming sense that this world is not empty. It is watching, waiting, and we have only just begun to look. Welcome to the deepest place on Earth. The surface still lingers above, a shimmering ceiling of gold and blue, fractured by the movement of waves. Sunlight pours through the water in long, trembling shafts, illuminating a world that feels almost weightless. Here, life is abundant. Fish move in synchronized currents, their scales catching the light like flashes of silver. Everything is visible, everything is known, but as the descent begins, that certainty starts to fade. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the light weakens. Colors begin to drain from the world. Reds vanish first, swallowed by the water until even blood would appear black. Oranges and yellows follow, leaving behind a cold spectrum of blues and greens. The vibrant life of the surface gives way to something quieter, more distant. This is the sunlight zone, the last place where the sun still holds power, but it does not last. The diver sinks deeper. The glow above grows dimmer, retreating into a pale, fractured memory. Shadows stretch longer. Movements become slower, more deliberate. The water cools, pressing closer against the body, wrapping it in an unfamiliar weight. Then another boundary is crossed, the twilight zone. Here the sun no longer illuminates, it merely whispers. Light arrives weak and scattered, barely enough to reveal shapes drifting in the distance. Eyes grow larger in this dim world, straining to capture every fragment of brightness. Bodies become sleeker, darker, designed to vanish in the half-light. A figure passes through the gloom, elongated, uncertain, gone before it can be fully understood. The descent continues. With every meter, the pressure builds, relentless, invisible. It presses in from all directions, tightening its grip with crushing force. At these depths, it is no longer measured in discomfort, but in survival. Only those built to endure can exist here, and still, we go deeper. The last traces of sunlight disappear. Not fade, disappear. As if a switch has been flipped, the world is consumed by darkness. This is the midnight zone. Here there is no day, no night. Only an endless, unbroken black. The temperature drops further, nearing freezing. The water grows still, heavy, silent. Movement is no longer constant. Every action is measured, every motion deliberate. Energy is too precious to waste. For a moment, there is nothing. Then, a flash. A pulse of cold blue light ignites in the distance. It flickers once, twice, then vanishes. Another follows, and another. Living sparks in a world without sun, bioluminescence. In the absence of light, life has learned to create its own. Tiny organisms glow like drifting embers. Larger shapes pulse and shimmer, their bodies producing light to hunt, to hide, to communicate. Signals in the dark, warnings, lures, proof that even here, life persists. But survival comes at a cost. There is no sunlight to fuel this world, no plants, no easy source of energy. Food is scarce, so scarce that every opportunity must be seized without hesitation. To hesitate is to starve. The descent slows. Below lies the abyss. A place where the rules grow even harsher, where pressure becomes unimaginable, where life exists at the very edge of possibility. Above, the last memory of light is gone. Below, only darkness remains, and within it, something stirs. The descent ends, but the journey has only just begun. Below lies a world few have ever seen, a landscape so vast, so unfamiliar, it might as well belong to another planet. The abyssal plain stretches into infinity, flat, silent, endless, a desert beneath the sea where fine sediments settle like dust on an ancient forgotten land. There are no landmarks here, no forests, no mountains in the familiar sense, only a soft, undulating seafloor that disappears into darkness in every direction. It is a place of stillness where time itself feels slowed. For long moments, nothing moves. Then a faint disturbance. A small creature drifts just above the seabed, its body barely touching the ground as it searches endlessly for something to eat. Life here is sparse, scattered, surviving on what little falls from the world above. The remains of distant lives. A constant, silent snowfall known as marine snow, organic debris drifting down from the surface, feeding an ecosystem that has never seen the sun. But the abyss is not only emptiness, it is also a world of extremes. Far below the plains, the seafloor fractures and plunges into immense trenches, vast scars in the Earth's crust that descend deeper than mountains rise on land. These are the deepest places on the planet, where pressure reaches levels almost impossible to comprehend. Here, the weight of the ocean above presses down with such force that survival itself becomes an extraordinary achievement. And yet, even here, life endures. The terrain shifts. The flat emptiness gives way to something far more violent. From the darkness, towering structures rise, jagged, irregular, venting plumes into the black water. They appear almost alive, breathing clouds of dark minerals that billow upward like smoke. Black smokers, columns of superheated water burst from the Earth's crust, rich with chemicals drawn from deep within the planet. The fluid is scorching, hot enough to melt, but the surrounding ocean keeps it contained, creating a ghostly spectacle of swirling black clouds. Around them, life thrives. Not in isolation, but in abundance. Dense colonies gather in the shadows of these vents. Pale, ghostly crabs scuttle across the rocks. Thick white mats of bacteria coat the surfaces, feeding directly on the chemicals pouring from below. And rising above them all, swaying gently in the current, are towering tube worms, their elongated bodies anchored to the seafloor, their crimson plumes reaching outward like strange alien flowers. This is life, without sunlight. Here the rules are different. There are no plants, no photosynthesis, no reliance on the sun's energy. Instead, this world runs on something far older, far more primal. Chemosynthesis. Bacteria convert chemicals, hydrogen sulfide, methane, into energy, forming the foundation of an entirely separate food chain. An ecosystem built not on light, but on the raw power of the Earth itself. It is a system that should not exist, and yet it flourishes. The camera drifts slowly past the vents, capturing the movement, the constant flow, the quiet activity of creatures perfectly adapted to this hostile world. Every organism here is a testament to survival against impossible odds, because in the abyss, life does not simply adapt, it transforms, and in this world without sun, Evolution has rewritten the rules of life. Darkness rules the abyss, a complete unbroken black, where the sun has never reached and never will. Here, vision should be impossible, movement should be blind, and yet the darkness is not empty. It glows. At first it is subtle, a faint shimmer in the distance. Then slowly the void begins to come alive. Tiny sparks flicker into existence, scattered like distant stars across a night sky. Pulses of blue, flashes of green, brief electric signals that ignite and vanish in an instant. This is bioluminescence, light created by life itself. In a world without sunlight, illumination has become a tool, one of the most powerful weapons in the deep. Through complex chemical reactions within their bodies, these creatures produce light with extraordinary precision. Cold light, efficient, controlled, and every flash means something. A ripple of soft blue waves moves through the water, synchronized, almost hypnotic. Countless microscopic organisms glow in unison, their bodies reacting to disturbance. A passing shadow triggers them, turning the darkness into a living alarm system. Somewhere within that glow, something moves. A shape emerges, slow and deliberate. The anglerfish. Its body is small, almost unremarkable until the light appears. Extending from its head, a thin filament sways gently in the current. At its tip, a glowing lure pulses softly, mimicking the movement of something alive. It is delicate, inviting, impossible to ignore in a world starved of visual cues. A smaller fish drifts closer, closer. The light flickers again, just enough to hold its attention. And in a fraction of a second, the illusion collapses. The darkness explodes into motion. A massive jaw opens wide, lined with needle-like teeth. The prey disappears instantly, swallowed whole before it can react. The light fades. Stillness returns. Here, illumination is not beauty. It is deception. But not all light is used to hunt. Far above the abyssal floor, a different glow spreads through the water, gentle, rhythmic, almost serene. A vast school of lanternfish moves together, their bodies dotted with tiny light-producing organs. Each individual emits a soft glow, forming patterns that shift and flow as the group changes direction. From a distance, they appear as a drifting constellation, but this light has purpose. It breaks their silhouette, blending them into the faint glow filtering from above. A form of camouflage, counter-illumination, designed to erase their presence from predators lurking below. Even in darkness, hiding requires light. And then there are those who turn illumination into spectacle. A delicate form drifts into view, nearly transparent. Its body shimmers like glass, fragile and otherworldly. This is a comb jelly, an organism so alien in appearance it seems almost unreal. As it moves, rows of tiny cilia ripple along its body, refracting light into cascading waves of color. Blues shift into greens, then into iridescent flashes that dance across its surface. Unlike others, its glow is not always produced chemically, but through the bending of the faintest available light, creating a living prism in the void. For a moment, it is mesmerizing. Then suddenly, a burst of light. A rapid, blinding flash erupts from a nearby creature, illuminating the darkness in a violent pulse. Startled, a predator recoils, disoriented. The prey vanishes instantly, escaping into the black while the attacker struggles to recover. In the abyss, light can confuse, distract, overwhelm. It can save a life in the span of a second. Every flicker, every glow, every pulse is part of a language, one we are only beginning to understand. Signals of warning, invitations, traps, messages written in light, carried through the deepest darkness on Earth. The camera drifts slowly through the glowing void, surrounded by silent flashes that appear and disappear without pattern, without warning. A living galaxy, beautiful and deadly. Because in this world, light does not reveal the truth. It hides it. In the endless dark, patience is power. There are no chases here, no long pursuits across open water. Energy is too valuable, movement too costly. In the abyss, survival belongs not to the fastest, but to the most precise. And few embody this better than the anglerfish. It drifts in stillness. A small, shadowed form suspended in the water, barely distinguishable from the darkness that surrounds it. Its body is soft, almost fragile in appearance, yet its true nature lies hidden in the details. A massive head, disproportionate to its size. A mouth that seems far too large for its body, and teeth long, curved and needle-sharp, jutting outward like the bars of a living trap. But its greatest weapon is neither its jaws nor its teeth. It is light. From the top of its head extends a thin, flexible spine, a modified dorsal fin ray. At its tip, a small bulb glows with a cold, steady luminescence. It sways gently, moving with subtle intention, mimicking the motion of something alive. A signal in the darkness, a promise. The lure flickers once, then again. In a world starved of visual cues, even the faintest light becomes irresistible. Somewhere nearby, something notices. A small fish drifts into view, its movements cautious but curious. Its large eyes fixate on the glow, drawn toward it by instinct. Food is rare here. Opportunities cannot be ignored. It moves closer. The anglerfish does not react. Its body remains perfectly still, every muscle restrained. Only the lure moves, soft, rhythmic, deliberate. Closer. The distance closes to mere centimeters, and then explosion. The stillness shatters in an instant. The anglerfish lunges forward with terrifying speed, its jaws snapping open to an impossible width. The mouth expands, engulfing the surrounding water and everything within it. There is no struggle, no escape. The prey vanishes whole. Within seconds, the predator returns to stillness, its body once again suspended in the dark as if nothing had happened. Efficiency, precision, perfection. But the anglerfish is more than a hunter. It is also one of the most extreme examples of survival ever evolved, because in the abyss, even finding a mate is a challenge. In a world so vast and so empty, encounters between individuals are rare. For most species, reproduction is a matter of chance. But the anglerfish has found another way. A smaller shape appears beside the female, almost insignificant in comparison. It is a male, barely a fraction of her size. Where she is built for hunting, he is built for one purpose alone: finding her. Guided by chemical signals in the water, he searches tirelessly through the darkness until he locates a female. And when he does, there is no courtship, no separation. He bites, attaching himself to her body. And over time, something extraordinary happens. Their tissues begin to fuse. His body merges with hers, their circulatory systems connecting until he is no longer an independent organism. His eyes degenerate, his organs shrink. Everything that is not essential disappears. He becomes a part of her, a permanent extension, existing solely to provide reproductive cells when needed. It is a solution born of necessity, a strategy as strange as it is effective. In the abyss, survival demands sacrifice, even of identity itself. The camera lingers on the anglerfish once more. Its lure flickers softly, casting a faint glow against its motionless form. Around it, the darkness stretches endlessly, silent and waiting. Somewhere beyond the light, another life drifts unknowingly closer, and the anglerfish waits, unmoving, unseen, perfectly adapted to a world where hesitation means death. Here, there are no second chances, only the strike. In the deep ocean, form follows function. But sometimes, function defies all logic. From the darkness, a shape begins to emerge, thin, elongated, almost serpentine. At first glance, it appears fragile, even insignificant. Its body is narrow, tapering into a whip-like tail that fades into the void. It drifts without urgency, no sudden movements, no visible effort, and yet something about it feels wrong. As the light steadies, its true form begins to take shape, the head, disproportionate, unnatural. A mouth that seems far too large for the body it belongs to, stretching wide, loose, almost unfinished, as though it has been pulled beyond its limits. The edges curve outward, forming a vast, gaping structure that dominates the creature's entire existence. This is the gulper eel, a predator built not for speed, but for opportunity. In a world where food is scarce and unpredictable, survival depends on one simple rule: when a chance appears, you take it, no matter the size. The eel drifts silently, its small eyes scanning the darkness. Unlike other predators, it does not rely on powerful vision or rapid pursuit. Its strength lies in patience and in possibility. A faint movement passes nearby. A fish larger than the eel itself. For most creatures, such prey would be impossible. But not here. The eel shifts, almost imperceptibly. Its body coils slightly, aligning with its target. There is no warning, no build-up, only a sudden, fluid motion as it lunges forward. And then the mouth opens, slow at first, then wider and wider still. The jaws stretch outward in a way that seems impossible. the thin membrane expanding like a net cast into the water. The gape becomes enormous, dwarfing the rest of its body. For a moment it is less a creature and more an opening, a void within the void. The prey reacts, but too late. In a single engulfing motion, the eel swallows it whole. The massive jaws collapse inward, sealing the catch inside. Its body bulges unnaturally as it accommodates the oversized meal, stretching to contain something that should not fit, and just as quickly as it began, it is over. The eel returns to stillness, its form once again slender, drifting as though nothing has changed. But within, the proof of its success remains. This is the strategy of the deep, not strength, not speed, adaptation without compromise. The gulper eel does not chase its prey. It does not fight for dominance. Instead, it bends the very limits of its own body, turning scarcity into opportunity through sheer biological innovation. Because in the abyss, meals are not guaranteed. They are rare, unpredictable, and when they come, they may be the only chance for survival in days or even weeks. The camera follows the eel as it drifts back into darkness, its long tail trailing behind like a fading shadow. At the tip, a faint glow pulses, a small bioluminescent organ flickering softly, perhaps to lure, perhaps to communicate, or perhaps for reasons we do not yet understand. For this creature remains one of the ocean's most elusive inhabitants, rarely seen, rarely studied, a living mystery, glimpsed only in fleeting moments of exploration. And in those moments, it leaves behind a single undeniable truth. In the deep ocean, reality is not bound by expectation. It is shaped by survival. And sometimes, survival demands the impossible. Long before the deep ocean was explored, it was imagined. Sailors spoke in hushed voices of something vast beneath their ships, a presence that rose without warning from the black water below. Tentacles the size of masts, eyes that reflected no light, a force powerful enough to drag entire vessels into the depths. They called it the Kraken, a legend born from fear and from glimpses of something real. For centuries, these stories were dismissed as myth, exaggerations of the unknown shaped by the terror of the open sea. The deep was a place of mystery, and the human mind filled that mystery with monsters. But sometimes, myths are not entirely fiction. They are echoes, fragments of truth waiting to be understood. Far below the surface, beyond the reach of sunlight, something moves. At first, it is only a suggestion, a slow drifting motion in the darkness. Then, gradually, the shape reveals itself, a tentacle, long, pale, lined with rows of powerful suckers. It drifts through the water with eerie grace, curling and uncurling as though guided by an unseen current. Another follows, then another, each one moving independently, yet perfectly coordinated. The body remains hidden, for now. This is the giant squid. One of the most elusive creatures ever known, so rarely seen alive that for centuries its existence was proven only by fragments. Beaks found in the stomachs of whales, mutilated remains washed ashore, scars etched into the skin of predators that had survived encounters in the deep. It was not until the modern age that the truth began to surface. Deep-sea cameras, submersibles, patient observation. At last, the legend was captured, not as a monster of fantasy, but as a living, breathing animal, still mysterious, still largely unknown. The camera drifts deeper. A shadow emerges in full. The body is massive, yet strangely delicate, streamlined for movement through the heavy, silent water. Its skin shifts in subtle tones, blending into the darkness. And at its center, two enormous eyes, among the largest in the animal kingdom, built to detect the faintest traces of light, perhaps even the bioluminescent glow of predators approaching from afar. Or something larger, because the giant squid is not the ruler of this world. It is part of a conflict. Far above, a different hunter moves through the depths with purpose and power, the sperm whale, a creature capable of diving thousands of meters into the abyss, guided by sound rather than sight. Its clicks echo through the darkness, mapping the unseen world around it, searching, hunting. The camera shifts. A whale's massive body glides through the water, its skin marked with deep circular scars, rows of pale impressions that tell a silent story. Each mark is the imprint of a sucker, a trace of struggle, evidence of battles fought in darkness. Somewhere below, the squid waits. The encounter is rarely seen, but its outcome is written on the bodies of both predator and prey. When they meet, it is a clash of extremes, size against strength, speed against precision. The squid lashes out with its tentacles, gripping, pulling, resisting with all its power. The whale presses forward, unstoppable, its sheer mass and force overwhelming the resistance. A struggle without witnesses, a battle hidden from the surface world. Only the aftermath remains, fragments, scars, silence. The camera lingers on the drifting tentacles once more, illuminated briefly before fading back into the abyss. There is no final reveal, no complete understanding. Because even now, the giant squid remains a mystery. We have seen it, we have named it, but we do not truly know it, and perhaps that is what keeps the legend alive. In the deep ocean, some stories are never fully told. They are only glimpsed, in passing shadows and disappearing forms. Proof that even in the age of science, there are still monsters in the dark. In the deep ocean, names can be deceiving. Some inspire fear, others promise danger, but few are as misleading. As the vampire squid, it is not truly a squid, nor is it a vampire. And yet, in the silent depths where it drifts, it feels like something from another world entirely. A small, delicate form emerges from the darkness. Its body is soft, almost gelatinous, suspended effortlessly in the water. There is no urgency in its movement, no sudden bursts of speed, no aggressive intent. Instead, it glides slowly, its motions controlled and graceful, as though it is part of the ocean itself. Then the light catches it. A deep, velvety red, so dark it appears almost black in the absence of light. Its eyes, large and luminous, reflect the faintest glimmer around it, giving the impression of awareness far beyond its size. And between its arms, something unusual. A thin webbing stretches outward, connecting each limb like a cloak. For now it remains folded, hidden. The vampire squid does not hunt like other predators of the deep. It does not chase, nor does it rely on speed or strength. In fact, it exists in a part of the ocean where most creatures cannot survive at all. The oxygen minimum zone. Here, oxygen levels drop so low that active movement becomes nearly impossible for most life. Muscles cannot sustain prolonged effort. Energy is scarce, and every action carries a cost. But the vampire squid thrives. Its metabolism is extraordinarily low, allowing it to survive where others would suffocate. It drifts rather than swims, conserving energy with every moment. Instead of hunting large prey, it feeds on something far less demanding, tiny particles, drifting organic debris, the remnants of life falling slowly from above. A quiet existence, almost peaceful, but even here, danger exists. A shadow passes, subtle, approaching. The vampire squid senses it instantly. Its body tenses, not in panic but in preparation, and then transformation. In a single fluid motion, the webbing between its arms unfurls, expanding outward to envelop its entire body. It turns itself inside out, pulling the cloak over its head and exposing a series of spiny, finger-like projections along its limbs. The delicate form is gone. In its place, something darker, more threatening, almost unrecognizable. At the tips of its arms, faint points of light flicker to life, small bioluminescent organs that pulse irregularly, creating a disorienting display. The sudden shift in shape and light confuses the predator, turning a soft, drifting creature into something unfamiliar, something uncertain. For a moment, hesitation. And in the abyss, hesitation is everything. The shadow withdraws, slowly at first, then gone entirely. The vampire squid remains still, its cloak held tightly around its body. Only when the danger has fully passed does it begin to relax, the webbing folding back into place, restoring its original form. Fragile, quiet, unseen. It drifts once more through the low oxygen waters, its movements barely disturbing the surrounding darkness. There is no triumph here, no display of dominance, only survival. Because in this part of the ocean, survival is not about power. It is about endurance, about existing where others cannot, about becoming so efficient, so perfectly adapted, that even the harshest conditions become home. The camera lingers as the vampire squid fades into the black, its form dissolving until only its faint outline remains. A creature suspended between worlds, neither hunter nor prey, neither shadow nor light, just another life, shaped by the impossible demands of the deep. In the abyss, nothing should grow large. Food is scarce, energy is limited, every movement must be measured, every calorie conserved. By all logic, life here should be small, minimal, restrained. And yet from the darkness, something moves. A shape emerges along the seafloor, slow and deliberate. Its body is armored, segmented, each plate overlapping the next like ancient machinery. It crawls across the sediment with quiet certainty, its many legs working in steady rhythm. Then the scale becomes clear. It is enormous, a giant isopod, a distant relative of the tiny woodlice found on land, but magnified to a size that defies expectation. Its curved body stretches across the seabed, its antennae sweeping the ground as it searches for food. Its eyes, large and reflective, catch the faintest hint of light, revealing a creature built not just to survive, but to endure. It pauses. The stillness returns. Then, with slow precision, it continues its path, each step a reminder that in this world, speed is irrelevant. Nearby, another form drifts into view, lighter, more flexible, almost ghost-like in comparison, a giant amphipod. Its body is translucent, elongated, its limbs thin and constantly in motion. It hovers just above the seafloor, rising and falling with subtle movements as if testing the water itself. Unlike the isopod, it does not rely on armor but on sensitivity, detecting vibrations, chemical traces, the faintest signs of life or death in the surrounding environment. Together they represent a paradox. Creatures that should not exist. Creatures that have grown far beyond what this environment seems capable of sustaining. This is deep-sea gigantism, a phenomenon that has puzzled scientists for decades. Why do some animals in the abyss grow so large, while others remain small? The answers are not simple, but the clues lie in the conditions of this world: the cold, the darkness, the silence, low temperatures, slow metabolism, allowing organisms to live longer and grow over extended periods of time. In a place where energy is limited, efficiency becomes everything. Growth is slow, but it never truly stops. Oxygen, though scarce in some regions, can also play a role. In the deep, colder waters can hold more dissolved oxygen, supporting larger body sizes in certain species. And then there is the question of pressure. At these depths, the immense weight of the ocean changes how bodies function at a cellular level. Adaptations that allow survival under such pressure may also influence growth in ways we are only beginning to understand. But perhaps the most important factor is time. In the abyss, life moves differently. There are no rapid cycles, no constant competition driving immediate change. Evolution unfolds slowly over vast stretches of time, shaping creatures in ways that seem almost impossible to us. The camera shifts back to the giant isopod. It has found something. A carcass, small but enough. It approaches without urgency, its movement steady, inevitable. When it reaches the food, it begins to feed, its mouth parts working methodically, consuming what it can. There is no frenzy, no rush. There doesn't need to be. Meals like this may last for days, even weeks, and when they are gone, it will wait again. Patient, unmoving, enduring. The amphipod circles nearby, drawn by the same scent, joining the quiet gathering. Others may come, or they may not. In the deep sea, nothing is guaranteed. The camera pulls back slowly, revealing the vast emptiness surrounding these giants. Their size, once overwhelming, begins to feel small against the endless expanse of the abyss. Because here, even giants are alone. And in a world defined by scarcity, survival is not about dominance, it is about persistence, growing slowly, waiting endlessly, and enduring against all logic in the silent depths of the earth. In the deepest reaches of the ocean, life should not exist. No sunlight reaches here. No plants grow. No photosynthesis fuels the chain of survival that sustains nearly every ecosystem on Earth. And yet, from the darkness, a strange glow begins to form. Not light, but movement. The seafloor fractures open, and from within the Earth itself, something erupts. A towering plume of black water bursts upward, billowing into the abyss like smoke from an unseen fire. It is not fire in the way we understand it, but it carries the same intensity. Superheated fluid, rich with dissolved minerals, surges out from beneath the crust, reaching temperatures that would be lethal to most known life. These are hydrothermal vents, black smokers, and around them, the abyss comes alive. The camera moves closer. The barren seafloor gives way to dense clusters of life, so thick, so vibrant it feels almost impossible in this otherwise empty world. Pale crabs crawl over one another, their bodies adapted to withstand both heat and toxicity. Shrimp gather in swarms, clustering near the vent openings, their movements constant, purposeful. And rising above them, something extraordinary, towering tube worms. Their long white bodies extend from protective casings anchored to the rock, swaying gently in the current. At their tips, bright red plumes unfurl like strange living flowers, vivid against the darkness, pulsing with unseen activity. They do not hunt, they do not feed in any way we recognize, because here the rules are different. At the base of this ecosystem lies something far more ancient than sunlight: chemosynthesis. Instead of relying on light, specialized bacteria harness energy from chemicals released by the vents: hydrogen sulfide, methane, minerals drawn from deep within the earth. Through this process, they convert these substances into organic matter, forming the foundation of an entirely separate food chain: life powered by the planet itself. The tube worms are not alone, they are hosts. Within their bodies live symbiotic bacteria, transforming chemicals into energy that sustains them. They have no mouths, no digestive systems as we understand them. Everything they need is provided from within through an invisible partnership forged in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. The crabs feed on the bacteria. The shrimp graze along the surfaces. Predators linger at the edges, drawn by the abundance. For a moment, the abyss is no longer empty. It is thriving. The camera lingers on the vent itself, where boiling fluid continues to surge into the cold ocean water. The contrast is absolute: extreme heat against near-freezing temperatures, toxic chemicals against fragile life. And yet, balance is maintained. Delicate, precise, unforgiving. Beyond the reach of these vents, the seafloor returns to silence. The life disappears as quickly as it began, fading back into the emptiness of the abyssal plain, isolated islands in an endless dark, oases in a desert without light. But they hold something more than life. They hold answers, because if life can exist here without sunlight, without the conditions we once believed essential, then perhaps it can exist elsewhere, on distant worlds, beneath frozen oceans, in places we have yet to explore. The camera slowly pulls away, the glowing activity of the vent shrinking into the distance until it is swallowed once more by darkness. A final plume rises, twisting, fading. A reminder that deep beneath the ocean's surface, far from everything we know, the Earth itself is alive, and it is still creating life in ways we are only beginning to understand. In the midnight zone there is no warning, no rustle of leaves, no shifting shadows cast by the sun, no sound to signal danger, only silence. And in that silence, predators wait. They do not chase. They do not reveal themselves. They exist as part of the darkness itself, unseen, unmoving, until the precise moment to strike arrives. A faint shape drifts into view, small, compact, almost unremarkable. Then the light catches its face. The illusion breaks. Rows of teeth emerge from the dark, long, needle-like, impossibly sharp. They extend outward in a way that seems unnatural, too large for the mouth that holds them. Some curve inward, overlapping, forming a cage that no prey could ever escape. This is the fang-tooth. Its name barely captures its reality. The body remains small, but the head is dominated by its jaws. Its teeth are so large that special adaptations in its skull allow them to slide into grooves when the mouth closes. Otherwise, it would not be able to shut it at all, a design built for one purpose: to ensure that once something is caught, it never leaves. The fang-tooth drifts without urgency, conserving energy, its massive eyes scanning the void for the faintest movement. It does not waste effort. It waits, because in the deep, patience kills. A flicker of light appears nearby. Another predator, longer, sleeker, more deliberate in its motion, the viperfish. Its body is elongated, almost skeletal in appearance, with a series of faint lights running along its underside. But it is the mouth that defines it, hinged wide, lined with dagger-like teeth so long they remain exposed even when the jaws are closed. A weapon that cannot be hidden. It hovers in place, suspended in the water column, its bioluminescent organs glowing faintly. Among them, a single lure extends from near its dorsal fin, pulsing softly in the darkness. A signal, a trap. A small fish drifts closer, drawn by the light, closer. The viperfish remains perfectly still, its body aligned with its target, its muscles coiled in silence. Then, the strike. It launches upward with explosive speed, covering the distance in an instant. Its jaws snap shut, the long teeth interlocking like bars, impaling the prey before it can react. The movement is over almost as quickly as it began. Stillness returns. The light fades. Elsewhere in the darkness, something larger moves. Its form is harder to define, long, slender, almost serpentine. Along its body, faint patterns of light shimmer intermittently, appearing and disappearing in sequences too precise to be random. The dragonfish, a predator of precision and control. Unlike others, it possesses a unique advantage, one that sets it apart in this world of darkness. Its eyes are capable of detecting not only the usual blue-green wavelengths of deep-sea light, but also red, a color almost invisible in the abyss, and it uses this to its advantage. From beneath its jaw, a faint red glow emits, soft, subtle, undetectable to most creatures around it. To its prey, the darkness remains complete. But to the dragonfish, the world is illuminated, a hidden spotlight, a private vision. It moves forward slowly, scanning, observing, selecting its target with calculated precision. When it strikes, there is no hesitation, only a sudden controlled burst of motion, its jaws closing with lethal accuracy. Another life disappears, unseen, unnoticed. The camera drifts through the darkness once more, passing between these hunters as they return to stillness. Each one perfectly adapted, each one a master of its environment. There are no kings here, no rulers of the deep, only survivors, predators shaped by scarcity, by silence, by the constant need to conserve and strike with absolute certainty. In the midnight zone, there is no room for error, no second chances, only the quiet presence of something waiting just beyond sight, and the sudden final moment when the darkness strikes. In the abyss, survival is not about strength, it is not about speed, it is about efficiency. Every movement, every reaction, every heartbeat carries a cost. And in a world where energy is almost impossible to find, wasting it can mean the difference between life and death. So here, life has changed the rules. A shape drifts through the darkness. At first it seems lifeless, suspended in the water, unmoving, as though it has been abandoned by time itself. Its body hangs in perfect stillness, neither rising nor sinking, balanced delicately within the heavy, silent ocean. But it is alive, waiting. This is one of the most powerful strategies in the deep sea, doing nothing. Metabolism slows to a near standstill, muscles remain inactive for long stretches, even the need to hunt is reduced, replaced by patience and conservation. In this environment, survival does not reward activity, it rewards restraint. Because food is not guaranteed, it is rare, unpredictable. Sometimes it does not come for days or weeks, and so creatures adapt. The camera shifts to the seafloor. A carcass lies motionless against the sediment, a fallen body from the world above, now part of the abyss. For a moment, it is alone. Then, movement. From the surrounding darkness, shapes begin to emerge, slowly at first, then in greater numbers. Scavengers, drawn by chemical traces in the water, converge on the site with quiet determination. Giant isopods crawl forward, their armored bodies pressing against the ground. Amphipods swarm in from all directions, their smaller forms moving rapidly compared to the stillness around them. There is no chaos, no frantic struggle, only steady consumption. Each creature feeds methodically, taking what it can, storing energy for the uncertain future ahead. Some will gorge themselves, expanding their bodies to hold as much as possible, enough to survive long periods without another meal, because there is no guarantee there will be one. Elsewhere, another strategy unfolds. A predator drifts in the water column, its body aligned vertically, almost invisible from below. It barely moves, allowing the faint currents to carry it. Instead of searching for prey, it lets the prey come to it, reducing the need for energy expenditure to almost nothing. Opportunistic feeding. In the deep sea, nothing can be ignored. A passing organism, a drifting fragment, even the smallest particle of organic matter becomes valuable. Everything is used, nothing is wasted. The camera lingers on a translucent creature suspended in the water, its body so delicate it seems barely real. It pulses once, slowly, then returns to stillness, conserving what little energy it has. Around it, the darkness remains unchanged, silent, endless, unforgiving. And yet, life persists, not through dominance, but through adaptation, through the ability to endure conditions that would destroy most other forms of life. through strategies that prioritize survival over speed, patience over power. Here, evolution has not created the strongest creatures, it has created the most efficient, the most calculated, the most precise. Because in the abyss, survival is not a constant battle. It is a waiting game, and only those who can wait the longest, who can endure the emptiness without wasting what little they have, will continue to exist in the silent depths below. In the abyss, nothing rises. Everything falls. From far above, beyond the darkness, beyond the reach of sight, life at the surface lives, feeds, and dies under the warmth of the sun. And when it ends, what remains begins a silent journey downward. A slow, endless descent. At first, it is almost invisible. Tiny particles drift through the water, scattered and weightless, moving at the mercy of unseen currents. Fragments of organic matter, dead plankton, microscopic waste, broken remains of once living creatures, all sinking from a world that the abyss will never see. Together, they form something extraordinary, marine snow. The camera lingers as the particles become more visible, countless specks falling in a constant, gentle motion. It resembles snowfall in a silent, underwater sky, a steady rain of life descending from above, feeding a world below. This is the foundation of survival in the deep ocean, a fragile lifeline, because in a place without sunlight, without plants, without continuous sources of energy, everything depends on what falls. The camera follows a single particle as it drifts downward, spinning slowly, untouched. Then, movement. A translucent creature glides into view, its delicate body pulsing softly. It intercepts the falling fragment with precise control, capturing it before it can descend further. The particle disappears, absorbed instantly. A meal, small but essential. Elsewhere, another organism hangs suspended in the water column, its body extended almost like a net. Fine appendages reach outward, filtering the surrounding water, collecting particles as they pass. Each fragment, no matter how insignificant, is captured and consumed. Nothing is wasted. Everything matters. The snowfall continues, unbroken, relentless, and with it life gathers. Small fish move slowly through the falling debris, feeding as they drift. Gelatinous creatures pulse gently, their transparent forms barely visible as they harvest what they can. Even predators pause, taking advantage of this constant supply of energy when the opportunity arises. Because in the abyss, food does not come in abundance. It arrives in fragments, and sometimes it arrives in greater forms. The camera shifts. A larger shape descends from above, a body, lifeless, sinking rapidly through the water. Its silhouette grows as it falls, untouched for now, but not unnoticed. Far below, something senses it. The fall accelerates. The distance closes. When it reaches the seafloor, it will not remain alone for long, but even before it lands, smaller creatures begin to gather, intercepting it mid-descent, feeding as it falls. A cascade of life forming around death, a moving feast in the darkness. This is the rhythm of the deep, not driven by cycles of day and night, but by gravity, by the constant transfer of energy from a world above to a world below. The camera pulls back slowly, revealing the vastness of the abyss filled with drifting particles, an endless cascade stretching as far as the light can reach, a sky that never clears, a snowfall that never stops, and within it, countless lives sustained by what others have left behind. Because here, survival is not built on growth. It is built on remnants, on fragments of existence falling from a distant world, feeding a realm that exists entirely in shadow, a world that depends completely and silently on the falling sky. In the deep ocean, movement is rare. Stillness dominates, silence prevails, but once every day, the abyss awakens. Far below the surface, in the darkness of the midnight zone, countless creatures remain suspended, waiting. Small fish, crustaceans, gelatinous drifters, an entire hidden population spread across the depths. They are motionless. For now, because above them, something is changing. The sun begins to set. At the surface, light fades into dusk. Shadows stretch across the ocean, and the boundary between day and night begins to blur. But deep below, where sunlight never reaches, the change is not seen. It is felt, a signal carried through the water, subtle, ancient, precise, and then movement. At first, it is slow. A few individuals begin to rise, their bodies tilting upward as they leave the safety of the deep. Then more follow, and more. Within moments, the darkness is filled with motion, a mass ascent. Millions, billions of creatures begin to swim upward in unison, forming one of the largest migrations on Earth. A vertical journey that spans hundreds, even thousands of meters, repeated every single day. The camera follows the rising wave. Lanternfish move in vast schools, their bioluminescent bodies flickering like drifting constellations. Small crustaceans pulse upward in dense clouds, their movements synchronized by instinct. Gelatinous forms drift alongside them, carried by the same invisible command. Together they rise toward the surface, toward food. Under the cover of night, the risk of predation decreases. Darkness provides protection, allowing these creatures to enter richer waters where plankton is abundant. It is a dangerous journey, but one that must be made, because below there is little to eat. The ascent continues. The water grows slightly warmer. The density of life increases. Shapes move closer together, interactions becoming more frequent, more complex. And where there is prey, there are predators. A shadow cuts through the rising mass, fast, controlled. A larger fish darts into the swarm, its movements sharp and efficient. It strikes once, then again, picking off individuals with calculated precision. Around it, others join, drawn by the sudden concentration of food. Chaos begins to form. The once organized migration fractures as prey scatter in all directions, their synchronized movement breaking under pressure. Flashes of light erupt as bioluminescent signals trigger confusion, alarm, distraction, a defensive response, but it is not enough to stop the hunt. The predators weave through the swarm, exploiting every opening, every hesitation. In this brief window of abundance, energy must be gained because soon the opportunity will vanish. Time passes, and once again, something changes. Far above, the first light of dawn begins to return. The signal shifts. Instantly, the movement reverses. The same vast population that rose now begins to descend, retreating back into the safety of the deep. The upward current becomes a downward flow, just as massive, just as synchronized. The predators follow for a time, then fall back. The risk increases with light. Exposure becomes dangerous, and so the abyss reclaims its inhabitants. The camera follows the descending wave as it fades into darkness once more. The motion slows, the density thins. One by one, the creatures return to their suspended stillness, their daily journey complete. Above, the ocean brightens. Below, silence returns, as if nothing had happened, but it will happen again. Tonight, and every night after. Because this is not a random movement, it is a rhythm, a cycle as vast and powerful as any on Earth. The largest daily migration on the planet, hidden entirely beneath the surface. A reminder that even in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean, life is never truly still. Beyond the scattered bursts of life, beyond the shifting migrations and fleeting encounters, there is emptiness. The abyssal plains stretch farther than any landscape on Earth, vast, uninterrupted and silent. A seafloor so expansive it covers more of the planet than all continents combined, yet remains almost entirely unseen. Here, nothing rises, no towering reefs, no forests of coral, no structures to break the monotony. Only a soft, endless layer of sediment settled over millennia like dust upon a forgotten world. The camera glides slowly above the seabed. There are no sudden movements, no urgency, just stillness. The fine particles shift gently with the faintest currents, leaving behind subtle ripples, patterns that may remain undisturbed for years. Every mark, every trace lingers far longer than it would in any other environment. Time moves differently here, slower, heavier. A faint shape appears in the distance. At first, it is almost indistinguishable from the ground itself, a slight variation in texture, a shadow where none should exist. But as it draws closer, it becomes clear. A single creature. It moves slowly across the plain, its body low to the sediment, each movement deliberate and measured. Its limbs press gently into the soft surface, leaving behind a trail that will remain long after it has passed. There is no rush. There is nowhere to go. Food is scarce. Encounters are rare. Life here is not driven by competition, but by persistence, the ability to endure long stretches of isolation without wasting energy. The creature pauses. For a moment it remains completely still, blending into the landscape so perfectly it seems to vanish. In this world, visibility is vulnerability. To be seen is to risk becoming prey, or to expend energy unnecessarily, so it waits. The camera pulls back, the scale becomes overwhelming. The lone creature, once the focus, now appears insignificant against the vastness surrounding it. The plain extends endlessly in all directions, a horizon that never changes, a world defined not by what is present, but by what is absent. No light, no sound, no movement, only the quiet persistence of life against an impossible backdrop. Occasionally something breaks the monotony, a faint disturbance in the sediment, a distant shape drifting just above the ground, a subtle shift that hints at hidden activity beneath the surface. But these moments are brief and easily missed, because the abyss does not reveal itself easily. It hides its secrets in stillness. The camera lowers once more, returning to the solitary creature as it resumes its journey. Step by step, it moves forward, guided by instinct alone, searching for something that may not come. And yet, it continues. Because here, survival is not about thriving. It is about enduring the absence of light, the absence of abundance, the absence of certainty. The creature fades slowly into the darkness, its outline dissolving until it is no longer distinguishable from the world around it. And once again, the abyssal plain is empty, or at least it appears to be. In the abyss, survival is only half the battle. To endure the darkness, to find food, to evade predators, these are constant challenges. But there is another quieter struggle unfolding in the deep. The challenge of continuing life itself, because in a world so vast, so empty, finding another of your kind can be nearly impossible. The ocean stretches endlessly in every direction, its inhabitants scattered across immense distances. There are no gathering grounds, no predictable paths, no certainty that two individuals will ever meet, and yet they must. Somewhere in the darkness, a faint chemical signal drifts through the water, subtle, invisible, but precise. It carries information, identity, readiness, a message released into the abyss, hoping to be found, and sometimes it is. A small figure moves with purpose, guided not by sight but by scent. It follows the trail, adjusting its course with careful precision, closing a distance that may have taken days or longer. At last, it finds its target. A female anglerfish, much larger, motionless, waiting. The male approaches cautiously, driven by instinct. There is no hesitation, no second chance. He bites and holds on. What follows is not a temporary union, but a permanent one. Over time, his body begins to change. Tissues fuse, blood vessels connect. His independence fades as he becomes part of her, no longer a separate organism, but an extension of her body. His sole function remains to provide reproductive cells when needed. It is a solution shaped by isolation, a way to ensure that once a mate is found, it is never lost. But not all creatures rely on such permanence. Elsewhere in the abyss, another strategy unfolds, one built not on connection but on chance, broadcast spawning. A delicate organism releases a cloud into the water, millions of microscopic eggs drifting freely into the current. Nearby, others do the same, releasing their own genetic material into the vast ocean, hoping that by sheer numbers some will meet. There is no guarantee, most will never connect. They will drift, disperse, fade into the depths without ever fulfilling their purpose. But a few, just enough, will find each other, and from that brief invisible union, new life will begin. The camera lingers on the drifting clouds, illuminated faintly as they spread outward, dissolving into the darkness. It is a quiet event. No movement, no drama, and yet it carries the weight of survival for an entire species. In the deep sea, reproduction is not about abundance. It is about probability, about strategies that compensate for distance, for darkness, for the near impossibility of encounter. Some rely on permanence, others rely on numbers. All rely on adaptation, because here, failure is not immediate. It is silent, gradual, an absence that grows over time until a species simply disappears. And so life finds a way to persist, through chemical signals carried across vast distances, through bodies that merge and become one, through countless drifting chances in an ocean that offers no certainty. The camera drifts once more through the abyss, where life continues in quiet, unseen cycles. No witnesses, no guarantees, only the constant effort to continue against overwhelming odds. Because in the deepest parts of the ocean, survival is not just about living, it is about being able to begin again. For all that we have seen, the deep ocean remains a mystery. The lights of our submersibles have pierced the darkness, Cameras have captured fleeting glimpses of life where none was expected. We have named species, mapped regions, recorded behaviors, and yet, most of it is still unknown. Vast sections of the ocean floor remain unexplored, uncharted territories stretching across the planet, hidden beneath kilometers of water. Places no human has ever visited, places no camera has ever reached. The abyss is not fully revealed. It has only been touched. The camera shifts to the glow of a submersible. Its lights cut through the darkness, scanning slowly, methodically. Every movement is cautious, deliberate. The beam sweeps across the seafloor, illuminating fragments of a world we barely understand. And then something appears, a shape, just at the edge of visibility. Unfamiliar, it moves in a way that does not match anything catalogued. Its form shifts, its outline unclear, as though it exists somewhere between definition and distortion. The camera tries to focus, but before clarity can be achieved, it disappears, gone, leaving behind only a brief recording, blurry, uncertain, open to interpretation. Moments like this are not rare, they are common. Strange forms caught on camera for only seconds, creatures that defy classification, observed once and never again. Movements that suggest behavior we do not yet understand. Each one a question, each one a possibility, because the deep ocean does not reveal its secrets easily. The limitations are immense. Pressure that crushes equipment, darkness that absorbs light, distances so vast they make exploration slow, expensive, rare. Every expedition is a challenge, every dive a risk, and even with modern technology, advanced submersibles, remotely operated vehicles, high-resolution imaging, we are only able to explore a fraction of what lies below. The camera follows an ROV as it descends further, its mechanical arm steady, its sensors scanning constantly. Data streams back to the surface in real time, but even this connection feels fragile, like a thin thread stretched between two worlds, a boundary between the known and the unknown. The lights shift again, another movement, this time something larger. A silhouette passes through the beam, elongated, unfamiliar, vanishing almost as soon as it appears. No clear features, no identifiable structure, only presence. The footage lingers, replayed in slow motion, analyzed, debated, but without more evidence it remains exactly what it was in that moment, unknown. The camera pulls back, revealing the submersible once more, its lights small against the vast darkness surrounding it. The beam reaches only so far, illuminating only what is directly ahead. Beyond it, endless black, untouched, unseen. Because despite all our efforts, all our technology, all our curiosity, we have explored less of the deep ocean than we have of distant celestial bodies. More is known about the surface of Mars than the depths of our own seas. And within that unknown, anything could exist, forms of life we have never imagined, adaptations beyond our understanding, creatures that have evolved in complete isolation for millions of years, waiting, unseen. The submersible's light flickers slightly as it turns, beginning its slow ascent back toward the surface. The darkness closes in behind it, reclaiming the space it briefly illuminated, erasing the evidence, keeping its secrets. Because the deep ocean is not just a place, it is a frontier. And like all frontiers, it reminds us of something fundamental, that no matter how much we discover, there will always be more, hidden in the dark. For most of human history, the deep ocean was unreachable, a world imagined but never touched. The surface could be crossed, the skies could be mapped, but below a certain depth, the ocean resisted every attempt to enter. Pressure increased beyond the limits of the human body, darkness erased all sense of direction. Distance made return uncertain, the abyss remained closed. Until technology changed the boundary. A vessel appears in the darkness, compact, reinforced. Built not for speed but for survival. Its exterior is rigid, engineered to withstand pressures that would crush ordinary structures in an instant. Small lights glow at its edges, casting narrow beams into the void ahead. A submersible. Inside, human presence, silent, observing. The craft descends slowly, controlled and deliberate, carrying its occupants into a world never meant for them. Every meter downward increases the strain on its structure. Every sound, a creak, a shift reminds them of the immense force pressing in from all sides. And yet, it continues. The lights sweep across the seafloor, revealing landscapes that have existed for millions of years without witness. Creatures drift into view, responding to the intrusion with curiosity or retreating into darkness. For the first time, the abyss is not entirely alone, but humans do not always need to be present to explore. Another machine moves through the water, unmanned, precise, a remotely operated vehicle, an ROV. Tethered to a ship far above, it descends with mechanical calm, its cameras transmitting live images back to the surface. Its movements are steady, controlled from a distance by operators who guide it through the unseen terrain. Its arms extend, collecting samples, touching surfaces that no human hand can reach. Where submersibles carry people, ROVs extend their reach, allowing exploration to go deeper, longer, further into the unknown. The camera shifts. Archival footage flickers into view, grainy images, early expeditions. The first attempts to descend into the deep, where every mission carried uncertainty. Steel spheres lowered into darkness, limited visibility, fragile connections to the surface. And yet, they succeeded. From those early journeys to modern explorations, each expedition has pushed the boundary a little further, mapping trenches, discovering new species, revealing ecosystems once thought impossible. But even now, the effort is small compared to the scale. Each dive explores only a tiny fraction of the ocean floor. Each mission captures only moments in a world that stretches endlessly beyond reach. The camera follows a submersible once more as it hovers above the seabed, its lights illuminating a small patch of sediment. The rest remains hidden, fading quickly into black. A reminder of limitation. Human exploration is precise but narrow, focused but incomplete. And perhaps that is what defines it, not dominance, not control, but curiosity, a desire to understand what lies beyond the edge of the known. The submersible pauses, its lights steady. For a moment, human technology and the abyss exist together, one observing, the other unchanged, because no matter how deep we go, no matter how advanced our tools become, we are still visitors here, temporary, fragile, passing through a world that does not belong to us. The craft begins its slow ascent, rising back toward the surface, leaving the darkness behind. And as its light fades, the abyss remains exactly as it was before, silent, endless, unclaimed. For millions of years, the deep ocean has remained untouched, a world defined by isolation, protected by distance, pressure, and darkness. Its ecosystems evolved slowly, in balance, shaped by forces far older than humanity itself. But that isolation is no longer absolute. For the first time, the abyss is being disturbed. The camera drifts across the seafloor. At first, nothing seems different, the same endless sediment, the same quiet stillness. But then, subtle signs begin to appear. Tracks, long, linear marks carved into the soft seabed. Patterns that do not belong to any natural movement. They cut across the plane with unnatural precision, disrupting a surface that may have remained undisturbed for centuries. Deep-sea mining. Far above, unseen machines operate with mechanical efficiency, lowering equipment into the depths to extract valuable minerals. Metals formed over millions of years, scattered across the ocean floor in nodules and deposits. The process is slow, but its impact is not. Sediment is disturbed, lifted into the water column, spreading outward in vast plumes. Fine particles drift and settle, covering nearby organisms, smothering life that cannot move or escape. Habitats, delicate and ancient, are disrupted in moments. In a world where recovery takes centuries, damage is almost permanent. The camera shifts. A faint haze lingers in the water, not natural, not part of the abyss. Pollution. Plastic fragments, microscopic and nearly invisible, drift through the depths, carried from the surface by currents, sinking slowly until they reach even the most remote regions of the ocean. They settle into the sediment, enter food chains, become part of an environment that never evolved to handle them. A small organism feeds, unaware. The particle disappears, a silent intrusion. Elsewhere, larger debris rests on the seafloor, foreign objects in an otherwise untouched landscape. They do not decompose, they do not disappear, they remain. For decades, perhaps longer. The camera rises slightly, moving through the water column. Something else is changing. It cannot be seen directly, but its effects are present. Temperature shifts, subtle but significant. The deep ocean, once stable and unchanging, is beginning to feel the influence of a warming planet. Currents alter, oxygen levels fluctuate. The delicate balance that defines survival in the abyss begins to shift. For creatures adapted to extreme stability, even the smallest change can have consequences. Food availability changes, migration patterns shift, ecosystems that have existed in equilibrium for millennia begin to face pressures they have never encountered before. And unlike surface environments, adaptation here is slow. Time moves differently in the deep. Recovery is not immediate. It may take generations, centuries, or longer. The camera lingers on a hydrothermal vent community. Life continues. Tube worms sway, crabs move across the rocks. The system remains intact for now, but the question remains, for how long? The abyss has always been resilient, but it has never faced disruption at this scale. Not from above, not from something that does not belong. The camera pulls back slowly, revealing the vastness of the deep ocean once more. The darkness stretches endlessly, unchanged in appearance, but beneath that stillness, change has begun, quiet, gradual, but real, because the deep ocean does not exist apart from the rest of the planet. It is connected, and what happens above eventually reaches below. The silence remains, the darkness endures. But for the first time in its history, the abyss is no longer beyond our reach, and that may be its greatest vulnerability. The ocean covers most of our world, vast, powerful, ancient beyond comprehension. And yet, everything we have seen, everything we have explored exists only at its edges, because the true ocean lies below, in the depths where light cannot reach, where pressure shapes life into forms we are only beginning to understand, where entire ecosystems exist in silence, untouched for millions of years, a world separate from our own. The camera drifts once more through the abyss. Faint lights flicker in the distance, bioluminescent signals, brief and fleeting like stars scattered across a night sky. A lone creature passes through the frame, its movement slow, deliberate, vanishing almost as soon as it appears. There is no beginning here, no clear end, only continuation. The rhythms of the deep persist without interruption, migration, feeding, survival, reproduction, cycles that have unfolded long before humanity ever looked beneath the surface, and will continue, long after. The scale becomes overwhelming. Mountains beneath the sea, trenches deeper than anything on land, plains that stretch farther than deserts. All of it hidden beneath a layer of water that conceals more than it reveals. For all our progress, we remain outsiders. Visitors in a world that does not belong to us. The camera shifts upward. Far above, the surface glows faintly, a distant, unreachable shimmer. It feels impossibly far away, a reminder of how thin the boundary is between the known and the unknown, between our world and theirs. A final sequence unfolds. The anglerfish, motionless in the dark, its lure flickering softly, the giant squid, its tentacles drifting through unseen currents. The vampire squid, cloaked and still, surviving where others cannot. The endless fall of marine snow, feeding a world built on remnants, each moment a fragment of a much larger story, a story we have only just begun to understand. The camera pulls back slowly, the lights dim, the abyss expands, swallowing every detail, every form, every trace of movement until nothing remains but darkness, silent, endless, complete. And in that silence, a realization. This world does not need to be seen to exist. It does not need to be understood to continue. It has endured for millions of years without us, and it will endure still. But now, we are part of its story. Whether we intend to be or not, the darkness remains unchanged. The life within it continues, unseen, unaffected for now, but the connection has been made. The boundary has been crossed, and with it, a choice. The camera fades to black. Only the faint echo of the deep remains, and a final thought carried through the silence. The deep ocean does not need us, but its future may depend on whether we choose to understand it. The deep ocean has long existed beyond the reach of human influence, a realm protected not by intention, but by distance and difficulty. For centuries, it remained untouched, its ecosystems evolving in isolation, governed only by natural forces. That is no longer the case. As technology advances, the abyss is becoming accessible. Deep-sea mining promises valuable resources, but at a cost that is not yet fully understood. Disturbances to the seafloor, sediment plumes, and habitat destruction may have consequences that last far longer than we can measure. In an environment where recovery can take centuries, even small disruptions carry significant weight. Climate change adds another layer of uncertainty. Warming oceans, shifting currents, and declining oxygen levels are subtle changes. But in the deep sea, where stability defines survival, subtle shifts can have profound effects. Noise pollution, too, travels efficiently underwater, introducing a constant presence into what has always been a world of near-total silence. And yet, there is also opportunity. With exploration comes understanding. With understanding, the potential for protection. The same technologies that allow us to reach the deep ocean also allow us to study it, to document its life, and to recognize its importance within the global ecosystem. The balance between risk and responsibility is delicate. The deep ocean does not demand our intervention, but it is no longer beyond our influence. Whether it becomes a story of preservation or exploitation depends not on the environment itself, but on the choices we make moving forward.